Imagine waking up to headlines warning that a storm racing across the Atlantic could become a Category 3 hurricane in just a few days. That's the reality this week as Tropical Storm Erin strengthens and begins its push westward. Right now, forecasters say Erin could become the first major hurricane of the Atlantic season, reaching sustained winds of at least 111 miles per hour within 5 days. But here's the key. It's still too early to know whether Florida or any part of the United States will face a direct hit. This uncertainty is why meteorologists and emergency officials are urging people to pay attention now, rather than waiting until the cone shifts closer to home. As of the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, Erin is moving west at 22 miles per hour, positioned about 690 miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands and nearly 1,900 miles east of the northern Leeward Islands. Its maximum sustained winds are currently near 45 miles per hour, with stronger gusts and tropical storm force winds extending about 45 miles from the center. Over the next 48 hours, conditions in the Atlantic, including low wind shear, warm water temperatures, and a lack of significant dust, are expected to help Erin intensify quickly. The National Hurricane Center is forecasting Erin to become a hurricane within 2 days and then continue strengthening into a major hurricane later in the week. In hurricane terminology, major means Category 3 or higher on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, with winds starting at 111 miles per hour. Historically, the first major hurricane of the season doesn't form until early September, so Erin is arriving ahead of the average pace. This is the 5th named storm of the Atlantic season and formed earlier than the historical average for its name slot. For now, the forecast cone shows the most likely path of Erin's center, but that doesn't mean the impacts are limited to that narrow zone. In fact, the storm center can track outside the cone roughly a third of the time. This is why meteorologists caution people against focusing only on the line in the middle of the graphic. Even if Erin's center stays offshore, it could still produce dangerous rip currents, high surf, and large swells along the East Coast. AccuWeather experts also note that conditions could become hazardous in Bermuda and parts of the Bahamas. Looking ahead, Erin is expected to keep moving west for several days before slowing down and gradually turning toward the west-northwest. The steering factors here are the northeast trade winds and a large system called the Bermuda High, a semi-permanent area of high pressure in the central Atlantic. The exact size and position of that high, along with an approaching cold front and dip in the jet stream near the U.S. East Coast, will determine whether Erin curves north and misses the mainland or edges dangerously closer. Forecasters have outlined 2 main scenarios. In the first, the Bermuda High stays fairly round or weakens enough to allow Erin to turn north before reaching the United States. This would keep the worst of the storm over open water, though coastal impacts from rough seas and rip currents would still be likely. In the second, the Bermuda High extends farther west, blocking Erin's escape route to the north. In that case, the storm could track much closer to, or even make landfall along, parts of the East Coast, possibly anywhere from the Carolinas northward. For Florida specifically, no tropical storm or hurricane watches or warnings have been issued at this time. The National Hurricane Center and the Florida Division of Emergency Management emphasize that it's too soon to predict direct impacts. However, even without a landfall, Florida's Atlantic beaches could see a noticeable increase in surf and dangerous rip currents by next weekend and into the following week. Swimmers, surfers, and boaters should stay alert for changing conditions and any local advisories that may be issued. Current intensity forecasts show Erin reaching hurricane strength within 48 hours and possibly achieving Category 3 status within 5 days. The step-by-step projections call for winds near 50 miles per hour in 12 hours, 60 miles per hour at 24 hours, and 75 miles per hour at 48 hours, the threshold for hurricane classification. From there, strengthening could accelerate, 85 miles per hour at 60 hours, 100 miles per hour at 72 hours, 110 miles per hour at 96 hours, and around 115 miles per hour by 120 hours. These forecasts come with uncertainty, as rapid intensification or unexpected weakening can occur. While meteorologists use spaghetti models to explore different track possibilities, the National Hurricane Center relies only on the highest-performing models when creating its official forecast. Each model uses slightly different calculations for steering currents, atmospheric pressure, and other factors, which is why the lines often spread out farther from the storm's current position. A wider spread in model output means lower confidence in the exact path, reinforcing the need for regular updates as new data comes in. Beyond potential impacts to land, Erin will also be a test for marine interests and shipping routes across the Atlantic. Large swells generated by a major hurricane can travel hundreds of miles from the storm's center, impacting vessels far from the core winds. Cruise lines, cargo carriers, and fishing operations often adjust schedules or routes days in advance when storms like this form. This ripple effect can also be felt in coastal economies that rely on safe boating conditions and steady tourism traffic. For residents in hurricane-prone areas, now is the time to review your preparedness plan. That means checking evacuation routes, updating supply kits with essentials like water, non-perishable food, flashlights, and batteries, and making sure important documents are stored safely. Even if Erin ultimately curves out to sea, taking action now ensures you're ready for the next storm that might not. Waiting until a hurricane watch is issued can lead to crowded stores, limited supplies, and unnecessary stress. In the coming days, all eyes will be on the Atlantic as Erin continues its westward trek. The combination of favorable conditions and early season timing make this a storm worth watching closely. While no one can say with certainty where it will go yet, the message from forecasters is clear. Stay informed, be prepared. In the coming days, all eyes will be on the Atlantic as Erin continues its westward trek. The combination of favorable conditions and early season timing make this a storm worth watching closely. While no one can say with certainty where it will go yet, the message from forecasters is clear. Stay informed, be prepared, and don't underestimate the power of a storm that could reach major hurricane strength. Updates from the National Hurricane Center will provide the most reliable, up-to-date guidance. So keep checking in and keep your guard up until this system is no longer a threat. One important factor to remember about hurricanes like Erin is that impacts often extend far beyond the point of landfall. Storm surge, heavy rainfall, and inland flooding can happen hundreds of miles away from the coast. Even tropical storm-force winds can knock out power, topple trees, and cause dangerous travel conditions. This is why meteorologists often say, don't just focus on the wind category. A slower-moving storm, even if it's weaker, can dump tremendous amounts of rain and lead to life-threatening flooding, a risk that is often underestimated by coastal and inland communities alike. Another thing forecasters are monitoring is the interaction between Erin and any weather systems over North America. If a strong